And welcome to Trending Update USA. My name is Stefan. Consider what unfolds when a 21-year-old international sensation enters a semi-final as the undeniable favorite, yet leaves the court surrounded by more uncertainty than clarity. What is the outcome when the immense weight of expectation feels more formidable than the player standing on the opposite side of the court? This evening, we are delving into a topic that goes far beyond a simple result. We are examining Coco Gauff's surprising semi-final match in Dubai 2026 and exploring why that particular moment felt so surreal to countless fans across the globe. During the 2026 Dubai Tennis Championships, Coco Gauff came into the semi-final match as one of the most formidable competitors in the entire field. Her performance in recent tournaments had been impressive. Her self-assurance seemed unwavering, and a majority of analysts viewed this match as another predictable step toward securing a major championship during the Middle East Tour. Yet in place of the poised and masterful performance everyone anticipated, we witnessed a contest that took an unforeseen turn marked by dramatic shifts in momentum, overt frustration, and stretches where her natural rhythm was completely absent. The final score left a great number of spectators in disbelief. This wasn't because a loss is out of the ordinary in tennis, because it's not. The very best in the sport have off days. What made this feel so strange was the stark contrast between the anticipation and the actual performance. Gauff didn't seem to be the same player we have all become accustomed to seeing. Her timing appeared to be just a fraction off. Her typical composure looked to be under immense strain, and the pressure, whether it was internal or external, seemed to weigh on her more heavily than it ever has before. But this is precisely where we should take a moment to reflect. Instead of fixating on how she could have lost, a more constructive question might be, what can this moment teach us? Since she was a young teenager, Coco Gauff has had to navigate her career under an intense public spotlight. From the moment she burst onto the scene at Wimbledon years ago to her Grand Slam victories, she hasn't simply been competing in a sport. She has been shouldering entire cultural narratives. She has been called the heir to American tennis. She has been measured against the legends of the game. She has been scrutinized after every single serve, every forehand, and every fleeting facial expression. And in the world of professional sports today, that kind of intense observation is constant. When we discuss the shock of this Dubai semi-final, our conversation extends beyond mere unforced errors or choices in strategy. We are really discussing mental capacity. At 21 years old, Gauff is doing much more than just managing her own performance. She is also navigating news cycles, the demands of sponsorships, commentary on social media, and the relentless public critique of her journey. That cannot be ignored. In this current era, the performance of an athlete is no longer limited to the playing field. The instant a match concludes, a new conversation ignites online. Video clips are shared across X, Instagram, and YouTube in a matter of minutes. Experts dissect her form. Fans argue about her state of mind. Detractors will question her readiness. Her supporters will defend her fortitude. And the athlete must somehow process that overwhelming wave while getting ready for the next tournament. Following the semi-final in Dubai, the public's response was instantaneous. Some fans articulated their disappointment. Others offered their solidarity. Certain commentators categorized the loss as a major setback. But I believe there is a more vital takeaway. What we witnessed was not a failure of her immense talent. It was a powerful reminder of our shared humanity. Tennis is a singularly isolating sport. There isn't another player to substitute in for you. A coach is not permitted to come onto the court during pivotal moments. In nearly every scenario, it's solely you, your own thoughts, and the gaze of thousands of spectators. When the tide of a match turns against you, you experience that shift entirely on your own. When a return shot misses the line by millimeters, the entire stadium audibly reacts, and so does your own inner critic. In Dubai, there were times when Gauff looked to be struggling between an aggressive and a conservative approach. That internal debate, should I attack the ball or should I play with caution, is frequently the mental battlefield for the world's best athletes. The margin for error at this elite level is incredibly fine. A couple of tentative shots can rewrite the entire narrative of a match. However, let's look at the bigger picture. Why is this semi-final significant beyond the final score? It's important because Coco Gauff is part of a generation that must pursue greatness within a completely interconnected world. She doesn't only face the person on the other side of the net. She is also contending with expectations that are amplified by powerful algorithms. Each of her triumphs is celebrated virally. Each of her defeats is transformed into shareable content. There is also a recognizable psychological arc for up-and-coming stars. When an athlete first makes their mark, they often compete with a sense of total freedom. There is not as much to lose and fewer narratives to maintain. But as soon as you achieve major titles and become a consistent top player, Your entire mindset must change. Now you are no longer the one giving chase. You are the one being pursued. Now every single opponent meticulously plans for you. Every possible vulnerability is put under a microscope. Your every habit is analyzed. In Dubai, it seemed as if that very dynamic was on full display. Her opponent did not appear to be intimidated. The game plan against her was evident. Prolong the points, keep up the pressure, put her serve to the test, and watch for any weaknesses. And when those weaknesses did appear, however briefly, they were immediately exploited. But that should not be seen as a failure. That is the territory where growth happens. We often focus on the physical side of preparation, power, endurance, and agility. But mental resilience is an equally challenging discipline. The skill to recover mentally after a missed breakpoint. The strength to tune out the crowd's reactions. The power to quiet your own internal doubt during a match. That ability is a mark of an elite competitor. What we observed in the semi-final may simply be a chapter in a much longer story of her evolution. At times, a painful loss can compel technical refinements. At other times, it can trigger a necessary psychological adjustment. And sometimes, it acts as a reminder to a champion that sustained greatness is never guaranteed. It has to be reconstructed every single day. One more critical dimension here is her public exposure. Coco Gauff has always conducted her interviews with incredible poise. She answers questions with great insight. She carries herself with such poise and intelligence. However, being in the media spotlight, even for good reasons, comes with a whole other level of pressure. When every practice is filmed and each reaction on the bench is scrutinized, any sense of a private life just vanishes. Athletes these days don't just lose. Their losses become trending topics. This constant public scrutiny completely changes the emotional game. Can you imagine trying to process your own disappointment all while knowing that millions of people are breaking down your every move in slow motion? It's a type of pressure that athletes from previous eras just didn't experience. And on top of that, we have to consider the impact of social media culture. In the past, fan reactions would come a day later in the newspapers or on a sports show. Now, the response is instantaneous and often incredibly harsh. A single match can set off a storm of speculation. Is she past her prime? Has the competition finally cracked her code? Is this a major crossroads for her? These storylines are great for getting clicks, but they rarely capture the full picture. A career in sports is a long journey, not just one isolated moment. When it comes to Gauff, this semi-final in Dubai really needs to be seen as just one point in her overall career path. She remains one of the elite players in the sport, and she's still honing her skills. She's still learning how to manage different surfaces, a grueling schedule, and an ever-changing field of rivals. Yet what struck me the most, even though she lost, was her demeanor toward the end of the match. Of course, you could see her frustration, but she was still completely engaged in the fight. Mentally, she never quit. She grinded out every point. That sort of tenacity is frequently a much better sign of a great career ahead than any one championship title is. Another thing to think about is the schedule. The first few months of the year can be incredibly taxing. You have the travel and the changes in court surface and the high expectations after a major. It all starts to build up. Being tired isn't just a physical thing. It's emotionally draining to be constantly performing, constantly in the public eye, and constantly expected to be perfect. Your energy stores really take a hit. That semi-final in Dubai might have been one of those situations where she wasn't running on empty, but her tank definitely wasn't topped off. And there's another thing to think about here, the very fact that we were surprised. Why was it a shock? It's because we've come to expect her to be brilliant. In a way, having those expectations is a huge compliment. It shows she has elevated her game to such a level that anything other than a stellar performance seems unusual. It's the double-edged sword of success. The more you accomplish, the smaller your margin for error gets. But true champions aren't defined by a flawless record. They're defined by how they respond to setbacks. How will she adjust her game? Will she fine-tune her serving motion? Will she alter her position on the court for returns? Does she need to reassess her schedule? Those kinds of subtle refinements usually take place out of the public eye, and that's exactly why privacy for an athlete is so important. Getting back on track isn't just about physical rest. It's also about creating mental space, a place free from the constant stream of outside opinions. It's a space to honestly evaluate things without all the outside interference. In an age where being quiet can be mistaken for weakness, actively seeking privacy is a sign of strength. Coco Gauff has already proven that she is a very quick study. She has a history of coming back from tough patches looking even more formidable. Her past behavior suggests this semi-final is more likely to be a turning point for growth a learning moment instead of a permanent stain on her record. And this whole situation points to a much broader topic beyond the world of tennis. It's about how we assess young people who achieve great things. This happens in all sorts of areas. Sports music business, where young prodigies are praised to the skies and then put under an even more powerful microscope. Finding the right equilibrium between being supportive and applying pressure is tricky. And as followers and media watchers, we are part of that equation. It's simple to expect perfection from others. It's much more difficult to have patience for the journey of improvement. Dubai 2026 isn't going to be what Coco Gauff's career is remembered for, but it may represent a particular stage, a lesson that growth involves, bumps in the road that staying at the top demands change, and that mental fortitude is built in those tough, gritty matches. In fact, a surprising loss like this could be the very thing that helps her sharpen her focus for the next major tournament. So, instead of debating if this was a step backward, perhaps the better question is what new and improved version of Gauff we'll see next time she steps on the court. Because if her career path so far has shown us anything, it's that she learns from her experiences very fast. She digests the information. She makes adjustments, and then she comes back fighting. As we finish up, it's worth remembering one crucial thing sports hold up a mirror to us. They reveal so much about pressure ambition, our own vulnerabilities, and the strength to endure. Seeing a young competitor manage all those elements makes us reflect on our own struggles, the expectations we face, the errors we make in public or in private, and the grit it takes to just keep going. The semifinal with Coco Gauff in Dubai wasn't remarkable simply because of the outcome. It was remarkable because it served as a powerful reminder that even the most brilliant talents are human, continually growing and always learning while living under relentless public scrutiny. And that is precisely why this particular moment has significance far beyond the world of sports. If you appreciated this more in-depth perspective, don't forget to subscribe to Trending Update USA to get more insightful commentary just like this. My name is Stefan, and I'll catch you on the next one.